Good evening, televiewers, especially those watching us from the political capital of Cameroon. Yaoundé, it's a pleasure having you again once more for another edition of Viewpoint on Dbs Television. And to all the Christians celebrating the Feast of Ascension, happy feast to all of you. In our studio, we are having a lady and we are having a gentleman, and because we have to begin with the lady, we are talking about Seka Zubaratu. She is a communicator. Good evening to you, Seka. And
good evening, Vanessa.
It's a pleasure having you tonight.
The pleasure is mine.
Mangavenashus, good evening to you as well.
Good evening, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers.
Thank you very much for coming, you all. Let us get a transition and we'll be right back for the first part of the show. Welcome back once more. Our first question for tonight: has it been easy for Cameroonians to respect COVID-19 measures? I begin with you, Seka. Yes or no? Has it been easy for Cameroonians to respect COVID-19 measures?
It's obvious that it is no.
No. Mangavenashus?
No, Vanessa.
No. Question number 2. Does the coronavirus restrictions have any impact on workers? I begin with you, Seka.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Mangavenashus?
It does to a lesser extent.
To a lesser extent. So what do I take?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 3. Are Cameroonians contributing enough to curb the spread of the coronavirus? Mangavenashus, yes or no?
No, Vanessa.
No. Seka, what do you say?
No.
And our last question for today: according to the reaction of the World Health Organization, is it not an opportunity for the African Union to form their own health organs to cater for Africans? Mangavenashus.
Yes, it is, Vanessa.
Seka, what do you think about that?
Of course, it is.
It is. In a moment, let us come back for the debate. In our first question, we asked whether it is easy for Cameroonians to respect the coronavirus measures. Seka Zubaratu, you is a Cameroonian. You are a Cameroonian.
Yeah.
And we are all Cameroonians.
Exactly.
So in your own personal perspective, has it been easy? And when we want to globalize it, has it been easy for Cameroonians? You think that no, it has not been easy at all?
It hasn't been easy at all for Cameroonians to respect, because when the crisis broke out in the European countries, we thought that those is a virus that killed only white people. We never got ourselves prepared, because, as they usually say, us Cameroonians, we are Thomas. We believe, we see before we believe. So it hasn't been easy, Vanessa, for Cameroonians to respect the measures that has been given by the government. When we look and compare, because life is all about comparison, what we have done and what others are doing, or what we have done and what others did. So when we look how our measures are taken here in Cameroon, it is really, really very poor, regarding the fact that we have economic crisis, which has been before we were born, because those are words that we have always heard. We have never heard that we have a high maximum of economics. Our economic has always been poor. And regarding the fact that we are jobless in Cameroon. So when you ask somebody, when you ask them personally that why are you not respecting and why are you not keeping your children home for them to go out and contact the virus, the question and the answer is just there simple. What are they going to eat? Hunger is going to kill them before the virus does. Now you have sent your children out there. We know the wearing of the mask is really very difficult. So even for me, at the beginning, it wasn't easy, because I had difficulties breathing. I had this like I'm going to choke as I'm dying in any moment. So when you send your children out, I see many children out there without wearing masks. They are selling petty traders. They are not. You don't know who they meet. You don't know how others are. You enter in taxi. The other day I enter in a taxi. the taximan had to carry another person. The person was not wearing the mask, and I asked him that, sir, do you know what you are doing? He told me he didn't realize that the person was not wearing mask. One, they are not attentive. Because if you are conscious of the virus, that actually the virus exists, you're supposed to verify your surroundings. You're supposed, we are respecting the 1.5 meters that is stated by the Prime Minister to respect, but them, they are not respecting. They have the bike people, they have taken the advantages to say, if you don't want me to bashe, as they usually call here in Douala, you have to pay extra money. Where are we taking the money to pay extra bike to go to work? Because we don't want to get contaminated. When you are taking a taxi from Buna Prizo to Ndokoti, they are asking you to pay 100 francs because they will carry 4 people in the car. Is it the 250 extra that had been removed that is going to make you rich? No, they are not conscious. They could say that 250 that had been removed from the one passenger from my car is to save a little bit my life, to be precautious, but they are not looking life in that way. They are calling on the government to reduce the prices of the fuel because they are taking, so all the stuff, they are just taking excuses. Because I can understand that a country is asked for a moment of time. If we had taken measure earlier enough, like other countries, a country like Gabon, they got one case, their borders were locked and they were able to cure it. Now there is no coronavirus in Gabon, but us, we never took measure of, and we never took the consequences of the risks, and now we are facing it. They are giving us the fake numbers of disease, because if you haven't gone to the hospital, I had I don't know if I can say I had the chance or I had the in-law to got sick, and I visited the hospital. Go there and you see a woman. Nowadays, somebody is ill, you go to the hospital, it is coronavirus. Even the doctors themselves, they are afraid of the virus because they don't have the enough material, they don't have enough protective measures to go closer to the patients. Reason why we are having high number of risks almost every day, which we were not supposed to have. So at all level, there is no protective measure in Cameroon, which we have to call on our government to look into it. They are giving us the amount of money that has been released. They are telling us that coronavirus is being treated in Cameroon for free. It is a big lie. Because
all right. That particular aspect we have discussed it several times on site, but all your points, I've gotten that you said it's difficult for Cameroonians to respect COVID-19 measures. You highlighted the poor economy, you highlighted joblessness, and you say they are not conscious of that. Thank you very much for your viewpoint, Seka Zubaratu. Mange Venashus, you are supporting our guest points tonight that respecting Cameroonians are not respecting the COVID-19 measures.
Yes, Vanessa, it has not been easy for Cameroonians to respect, because when you look at from a democratic point of view, if you look at the population of Cameroon, a larger proportion of the Cameroon population is made up of the youth, or the young people. When I say the youth, the question of who is the youth comes in. But then, when you compare what we have in Cameroon and you compare a population in a country like Italy, that more than 70% is made up of the old people, the rate at which these young people move, you cannot compare it to a country like Italy. And in Cameroon, asking people to sit at home for the whole day is a problem. People are not used to just get up and sitting at home. We cannot cope. That is why when they talk of the least possible, opportunity to go out, everybody is going out to the street. So when we say that respecting barrier measures, we talk of wearing face mask, like she says. We have not accepted the fact that this face mask, that they have become, somebody named it accessories, human accessories, just like women move about with their handbags, and with earrings. Yes, we are supposed to be moving with it now like women do with their handbags, because you are supposed to put it everywhere, and wearing it is another thing, because that's why you see most people wearing it. We call them chin mask instead of face mask, because we wear it on the chin, or some just have it in the hand, and when there are control posts, you wear them. because it is not easy for us to adapt wearing them. Two, another problem is the texture of the face mask. You know, when the medicalized face masks were imported, Cameroonians, we complained of the cost. It was high. Two, it was disposable, because you buy it today, wear it 1-2 times, you have to dispose of. Then we have to resort to locally made face masks, which were completely difficult to breathe through because they were thick. And so when you wear it, like she said, you find yourself suffocating. Scientists tell us that the air that we breathe would be a problem to us than the virus itself, because the CO2 that we send out is the very CO2 that we consume, because we tend to block oxygen. In that case, we are building complications again in our lungs. And when this comes back, we talk of coronavirus, because once it touches the lung, anything in the lung is coronavirus. So it has not been easy for Cameroonians.
Excuse me, Venasius. You are saying something. We are talking about the face mask, but we are equally forgetting about the alcoholic that we are every hand sanitizer, which is going to, in a long run, being a very dangerous thing for us. Because right now I have been having some scratches on my hands due to that, and that's why Cameroonians, sorry for those who are married, it's not because if you remove your wedding ring and put it for a while, most especially those who are wearing jewelry and stuff like that have to use the hand sanitizer. Excuse me. Yeah, you need to really take precaution in as much as that is concerned. Make sure to wash your hands with water and soap. Even though the prices has been increased, but water and soap is the best, because we are having the after effect with the hand sanitizer.
And then a lot of Cameroonians will be asking that, you are asking us to wash hands. Where is the water?
That's the point. That's the difficulty.
And how many people can afford a cube of soap? All right, that takes us to our second question for tonight. Does the coronavirus restrictions have any impact on workers? And Seka Zubarato, you said yes. You are a communicator, so I believe that you do a lot of movements from one enterprise to the other. So how has it affect the workers?
I won't even go far, because the perfect example, I got coronavirus. Until now, I think I have contracted it like 20 times in my mind and get well. Psychologically, I was unstable. I had to stay home for about 2 weeks. Just the fact that every time when you are putting on a TV channel, 10,000, 2,000 people in 24 hours, this in these hours, and me, somebody like us, because when you are working in a communication world, you are exposed. You get to meet different type of people, and the fact that the rumor and somehow they say only the cargo are dying now, the big people are dying now, is very scary, because those are people that we get in contact on daily basis. When you go back home, you're afraid. You start drinking warm water. You start drinking the traditional medicine that just kills someone. Just of recent, I won't really go detailing on that, because too excess of ginger, all the stuff,
lemon,
like it had
together.
So the person drank it and it tore the intestine. Instead of the coronavirus to kill the person, it is the medicine again that killed the person. So psychologically, I have gone through trauma that I'm following. Even as a psychologist is following me up until now, which I call on all the enterprises and all the companies to have to contact at least one psychology in their enterprise, for them to get to talk to them, to let them know, because we need to learn to live with the coronavirus, because we doesn't know when exactly this virus is going to finish. Is this a virus that is terrorizing all the world? Everybody, nobody has a hand on it that can put the hand and say, bam, coronavirus, tomorrow you are getting over, we are done and dust with you. We need to learn to live with, and for us, for the enterprises, for the companies to learn to live with, we need a psychology.
A psychologist.
A psychologist
To handle
our mentality, the mindset.
All right. Thank you very much for your viewpoint. Manga Venashusa, I love the way she directed her own point of view. She spoke on the psychological trauma of this virus, in which I think that here in Africa is a little bit much neglected. They don't think more of how could we groom our citizens to accept this disease and learn to live with it.
And that is why the Pope, at one point he asked a question: why are we talking of the number of contamination, the number of deaths on a daily basis, without talking about the number of recoveries? So on his point, he was really asking the world, let us promote, this positive aspect of the pandemic, because the world was just getting up to find out at what number are we? What number of deaths have we registered here? In that case,
and that is how it was.
People are just living with the fact that, I don't know, I may die the next hour, may die the next minute, I don't know who is dying yet. But then, what this man of God wanted was, let us also show the world that there are people who are getting contaminated and are recovering. Let us tell the world that medical personnel are working round the clock, and that is why there are recoveries. And from then, when he started saying it, at one point, the government of Cameroon actually prohibited the publication or the daily publication, of infection rates in Cameroon, asking people to come up. Let us see how many people have been healed. That is the psychological aspect of it. But then, let us look at the human resource aspect of this pandemic. We know so many companies, so many enterprises, they are on technical lockdown because, since the economy is completely down, the enterprises are not operating. So what most companies have done, they have downsized the number of their workers. So most people are at home, they are not working. That is an impact. That is the impact of this pandemic to workers. Most workers are not able to earn a living now. You take a city like Douala, where if not more than half of its population are renting. You are living in Douala, where we practically buy everything, even the air that we breathe. Because when the air conditioner is running, you are going to pay the bills. Now you are not working. How do you survive? That is why, like somebody said, hunger, she even said it, hunger will kill most of us than the virus itself. So the impact of the virus, when it is measured at the level of workers are actually suffering. About 2 weeks ago, they were telling us of one denomination in Cameroon here that they have reduced the teachers' workers' salary by 50%, and they were still promises that they may continue reducing in the months ahead. When we talk of workers at home, there are so many of us that work. We earn our daily bread from where we work. And when enterprises are closed, activities are not going on, people are barely surviving. So the impact on workers, Vanessa, there is no way you can explain it. Because people are actually living it. They understand what it is rather than at least words. The experience they have. Yes, it's far more than the words that we can use to explain it.
All right. Manga Venashusa, continue with you on our third question. Are Cameroonians contributing enough to curb the spread of the coronavirus? And you don't think that they are contributing enough?
Vanessa, I don't think. When she was speaking, Seka used a word that we need to work on the mindset of Cameroonians. We need to work on the mindset of Cameroonians when it comes to COVID-19, because some of us are still to believe. Some of us Cameroonians are still to accept the fact that coronavirus is existing. When the Prime Minister announced softening measures to Cameroonians concluded that that was the end of coronavirus. That is why some people believe that I only wear my face mask when I see a police or a security officer in front of me. I wear it to pass, and after passing, I remove it. So we don't use it. Yes, just yesterday, I was getting back to my own neighborhood. When I alighted from the taxi and I was going down, one of my neighbors told me, you can remove your face mask, you are not free. So I was now asking him, is the coronavirus in the taxi, in the road, in town, and here in the quarter, we don't have it again?
That you can remove your face mask.
Yes, that I can. Because when I was trying to talk with him, I was having it on. It was not fluent. That's why I was saying, no, but you can remove it now. We're already in the quarter, so you are free from coronavirus. So we still believe that even in our quarter, the rule is, if I'm leaving my house to my neighbor's house, I am supposed to put on my face mask.
And make sure you respect the physical distancing.
The distancing, that one I was still coming to it, because physical distancing in Cameroon, I think it is still something that we are still to learn the meaning of that word. Because when you just step into the market, you ask yourself, what do we mean by physical distancing? When the Prime Minister announced the softening of these measures, he said off-license and drinking spots should be opened. But then we should respect the social distancing principle. And I don't know the kind of off-licenses that we have that will be able to respect this social distancing. We are going to school by 1st of June. I don't know whether our children will be able to respect the distances. You know, it's 1 meter, which means 1 meter in front, 1 meter left, right, 1 meter behind. So you are supposed to be within an area of about 4 meters square. Yes, and then we're trying to find out which classes are we going to have, because the classroom itself is just 4 meters. The classroom itself is 4 meters, so the classroom will be around 16 meters square. And then when one child occupies 4 meters square, it means in that classroom of about 16 meters square, four. Yes, so these are, when we put them together, we conclude that Cameroonians do not contribute enough to the spread of coronavirus, and that is why you see the rate rising. Vanessa, if we are to carry out mass testing in Cameroon, we will not be talking at 2,000, 3,000.
3,000.
Yes, we should be more than that, because when you look at the way we Cameroonians are behaving, it's as if nothing is happening. Because I tend to ask the question, was Cameroon, even in isolation, was Cameroon really confined? Was there anything like confinement in Cameroon? Only the churches and schools were closed. Every other thing were turning. Yes. People were asked to remain at home, they are out. So when we say confinement, it did not exist in Cameroon. So we think that Cameroonians they are not contributing anything. When we say Cameroonian,
they are not even conscious.
Actually,
they are not conscious at all.
And when we say Cameroonian, they are from all sectors from the young to the old. Yes,
at this point in time where we are now, we are in Douala, just move to Ndogosino neighborhood, and you ask yourself,
just the roundabout,
and you ask yourself that, is there coronavirus? You will say that that's a place that I personally, when I'm passing there, I take a taxi, like I should be alone in the taxi. I take a bike, I should be alone on the bike. If a taxi drop me before the roundabout, I take a bike to cross the roundabout, arrive at the other edge, because I'm conscious of my life. I know that I have one life. When the Cameroonians will realize that they are not two lives, and that by helping themselves, they are helping each other. What am I talking about? The other day, I was at the office when a lady came in. She is one of those that came from with the Air France that brought the coronavirus, as we are commonly calling now. She left the hospital bed and she came to our office, and she said, if you don't receive me now, I'm going to spread the coronavirus to everybody. She removed her face mask. She was talking. The saliva was just going. I stepped behind, because she knew that she's having it. The fact that she is a Cameroonian, she knows that she's having it, but she wants to give it to the next person beside her, a brother or a sister who is equally a Cameroonian. And now, where are the measures? Where are the how do you call it? Excuse me. Where are the
restrictive measures?
The fact that you know and you are giving it to the next person willingly, most of them, they know that they have already contracted it, because to them it's a deadly disease. One thing we need to sensitize the Cameroonian that it's not because you have COVID-19, that you are going to die. You need to know that. But since we already put it in our minds that when we have we are going to die, and we doesn't want to die alone. That's one thing.
She doesn't want to die alone, and she wants to spread the disease. All right, let us take our fourth question. According to the reaction of the World Health Organization, is it not an opportunity for the African Union to form their own health organ to cater for Africans? Seka Zubaratu, where we talk, according to the World Health Organization, the fact that they were reluctant to endorse the COVID-19, the Madagascar's COVID organic solution to COVID-19. Or maybe like the one of Archbishop Samuel Kleda.
Actually,
is it not time for the African Union to let us create our own organ?
The time had already been there before now. So we shouldn't say that it is now the time. It's because Africans are just Africans. Being an African, I don't know how I can say it, but it's an honor being an African. But Africans, being intelligent as they are, they prefer to sell their intelligence to the Westerners. Africans, we have everything to create our own health organization. Let me not say World African Health Organization. We have what it takes, because the primary material is being carried away from Africa to Europe. Because when you touch every part of African, most especially Cameroonian, that we are simply very rich in Cameroon. We have everything, and it is time, because they say nothing is bad at 100%. I will say that this is the time, with this outbreak of COVID-19, for Africans to sit on the round table, as they say, to see how they can prevent all the things that are going to come in, not only the coronavirus, but other things that are going to come. And let's stop counting on the Europeans, because they have nothing to offer us.
They have nothing to offer us. Manga Venatius, you think it's an opportunity for the African Union to create their own organ, their own health organ?
Yes, Vanessa, from the onset, I have always been of this opinion that this pandemic is a blessing to Africa, because it is telling Africans that we need to stand on our feet. Let's not depend on any other person. Africa is ripe to be a continent. I don't know why Europe would want to dominate Africa. When you look at the population of Africa, we should ask Africans to come back to Africa, and Europe will become a dead continent. Africans should come back to Africa, and Europe will become a dead continent. That is why we think that with the World Health Organization, their reluctance, in considering Africans as being capable to come up with a cure for coronavirus, a cure which they Africans believe that they are handling it, because Madagascar says they are curing it. Monsignor Samuel Kleda says he is curing it
with proofs.
With proofs. We have testimonies from the patients who have been proven positive. They, after consuming, they were tested and they no longer have it. So I think that the African Union, if that African Union thinks anything Africa, it is high time that we should try to be independent. The independence should not be on paper. We should not, the union is just simply there to promulgate, or accelerate the European exploitation of Africa. Exploitation in terms of mineral and in terms of human know-how. That is why they don't see any reason, because he who pays the piper calls the tune, Vanessa. That is what is happening. Because it is the European Union that finances the running of African Union. That is why they don't want to bite the finger that feeds them. So simply using this coronavirus as a stepping stone, African countries should seize their independence. Nobody gives it to you. Seize it, form an African health organization that will cater for African health, and you will see that the live stream that that vivifies Europe will be cut off. Because if the African Health Organization exists and manages the health of Africans will be healthier than we are, and will not depend on Europe, Vanessa.
All right, thank you very much, Manga Venatius, for being there tonight.
The pleasure is mine, Vanessa.
And to you, Sekas Baratu, it has been a pleasure having you too as well.
The pleasure is mine, and it will always be mine. Anytime, I will answer present.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you also for being there and for giving us your patience to watch Viewpoint on DBS television. Hope that you got one thing or the other, and do not forget that all this is about to educate you and make you to be conscient about the coronavirus. Do take care and stay blessed.